I wanted to make a video very briefly about a criticism I've seen of superhero fans, of Batman fans, of fans of Batman Arkham in particular, and of critics of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. It's not a video I'm doing just to, knock Suicide Squad. Everybody's allowed to have their opinions on it. I think overall the game is underwhelming and frustrating. But if you love the game, that's fine. This is just a video about something I've seen, which is the idea that all of the criticism around that game, that all of the opinions around superhero games basically just boil down to, well, all you want is Batman. Well, all you want is Batman Arkham games. You just want the Batman Arkham games to go on forever and ever. And I feel like this is such a disingenuous criticism. It's so false, and not true. Because I can't tell you how many pitches I've seen from fans. Now, I know they're fans, so they'll never get picked up, because the way it works is if you're not an executive with a ton of money, no one cares what you think. But I've seen so many fan pitches and people saying man, I really want a good Green Lantern game. Man, I really want a great Daredevil game kind of similar to this in the Marvel Universe. Wow, I really, really think that they could do another Hulk game like the way they did, Ultimate Destruction. I believe that was the name of it. It's been a little while on the, GameCube and back in that era. I've seen so many people say these things, or so many people say, I would love a full-fledged X-Men game again. But a lot of the criticism I've seen around people being frustrated with Suicide Squad, or even Marvel's Avengers, is basically the idea of all you want is Batman and Spider-Man games. You just want these two guys, they have their main games, and that's all you're willing to play, that's it. And I find this so weird and frustrating because there absolutely are people like that. There are people where that's the only character they care about. I think they're missing out. If Batman's the only superhero you care about at all, I do think you're genuinely missing out. But the amount of people like that is in the minority. Even in the general audience, it's not like the general audience plays one Batman game and they overwhelmingly are like, Batman is my Lord and Savior. This is the only game I ever want to play. Most of them will play that, and then they'll go try a Spider-Man game, or they'll go try a Hulk game, or they'll go try another superhero game. The problem is quality. The quality control around superhero games has been kind of bad forever. It really has, all the way back, even to when they were just licensed movie games for the most part. It's been bad. It's very uneven if you're going to get a masterpiece great game, an underrated hit that people overlook, or something mediocre or something terrible. And I think Suicide Squad is one of those things where it came out at a time where people are getting tired of live service. People are getting tired of the idea of single-player franchises transitioning into these big multiplayer things. A lot of people don't want that. So I'm going to talk about that for a couple more minutes here. Before I get further into it, if you do enjoy today's video, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe. I appreciate it a lot. I have a Fortnite code. I know I mention it a lot. I'm going to keep mentioning it because I don't make any money. It's DJAY123, so that helps out our channel a lot. And also, here's my question of the day. What superhero or supervillain or anti-hero would you want to get a game, and why? It doesn't have to be WB or DC or the Arkham universe or anything like that. I just want to know in general. If it's Invincible, that's not tied to anything. Let me know. I'm interested. Because I want to prove that people want other games. This is just some BS that I keep hearing. Regardless, with this, it's so weird to me because I've been on social media, especially on Twitter. I see this comment all the time, but I also see it under my own videos. I will see people say, well, the only reason that you have this criticism of this game, usually it's Suicide Squad, but it's even been other superhero games too, even Spider-Man 2, when I talk about, hey, I like this game, but there's some things I wish were different. I wish that they had expanded this plot point, or I wish Eddie Brock was here, things like that. I will get comments like, well, that's because you just love Batman Arkham. You want everything to be that. No, I don't. Who do you think you're talking to? And this is the problem I have too, is there's a lot of people with autism who I have some autism, but who are severely autistic, who they have their special interest, and maybe it's Batman or it's Star Trek or whatever, and that's just their thing only. But most people do like more than one thing. And even most autistic people do too, by the way. But most people, just in general, do like more than one thing. They are open to different things. But the quality control around these things has been fairly frustrating. Even with Batman, I know that people have their problems with the series. I've made my 5 things it did right, 5 things it did wrong. And I'm sure I'll keep talking about those games. I love them. I think they're great. But you know what else I talk about? A billion other things. it's not my fault if people don't watch them. Like, genuinely, like, I do this channel and I do variety, and I will talk about Batman, I'll talk about Spider-Man, I'll talk about Hulk, you know, I'll make a video about James Bond, I'll make a video about a game I'm playing, Tomb Raider. And I know that's not a super focused channel on one thing, because I'm not that kind of person. So when I see people say things in my comments to me, but also to other people, saying things like, well, your criticisms around this thing are just because you wanted Batman, you wanted more of this. It's like, hey, look, if they wanted to throw us a bone and make more Batman games that are great, fantastic. You know, I think Origins, as much as I love it, had its problems with glitches and bugs. Arkham Knight, as much as I love it, had its problems with storytelling. But you know what? I've loved all those games. So true. I would absolutely love another Batman game. But you know what else I wanted? You know what else people have been arguing for, or I should say petitioning for, asking for since it was teased? A Superman game. You know, since they teased the existence of Superman in the Arkham universe. People have been asking for that. And before the comment of a Superman game would be so boring, what would you possibly do? I've already made a video about what a Superman game could be years ago. I'd love to make another one, actually. And plenty of people have. And there are tons of games that kind of encapsulate the idea of Superman well, but WB can't do it. They can't get it down. You know what else people wanted? A Flash game. You know what was canceled years ago, I think in the PS2 era? A Flash game. People want these other characters to get their stories, to get their games. It's not just that people hate Harley Quinn or they hate Captain Boomerang and they think these guys are nerds and they don't want to play as them. That's not really what it is. What it is gameplay structure and quality control of different video games. That includes Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, a game that was pitched as a live service e-game that was supposed to update its shop all the time. As of recording this, it's done almost nothing. Even though I don't want it to, because those prices are too high, I'm just saying it hasn't even followed through on its own thing. A game that has mastery quest, I would say, glitches or mastery mission glitches, where you just kind of get stuck in the end game and can't go anywhere. A game where some people on PC with Steam still can't connect to the servers, even now. And a game that, instead of fixing all those things, prioritized a fix to get rid of XP grinding places and remove easy XP using Gizmo's car, because they didn't actually want you to level up too fast and have nothing to do in the future, because then you wouldn't want to spend your money on anything. That's the problem here, I think, because people are willing to spend money. They're willing to go on Arkham Knight and buy a skin, you know, buy a costume. You know, people are willing to go on Spider-Man and buy the City That Never Sleeps DLC. It's such a weird criticism to me to see people say, this is the only type of game you want, and this is the only type of game you're willing to put your money and time into, when every time I make videos about something else, I'm not trying to bitch here, but I'm just saying, they don't do as well, because one, Batman is so popular, so of course I'm going to talk about Batman, because one, it does really well, and two, I love the character to death, but also I, along with many others, have said over and over again, hey, you know what would be cool in the Arkham universe if you really want to continue? Superman. Hey, you know what would be cool? Flash. Hey, you know what would be cool? Green Lantern. Hey, you know what else would be cool? Starting a new universe with all these characters and doing more like comic accurate games that adapt the best parts of the comics and change the parts that suck. We've been advocating for that forever. We've wanted these games. That's what the whole series of why this game would be hard to make from a imagination standpoint. Not a coding standpoint, but imagination that I've done. Or the series of like why I think this game would be pretty easy to turn into a franchise. That's why I made that. That's why it's so weird to me to see people saying that about me or to see people saying that in my comments about other people, because this fan base in general, like the Arkham fandom, even the fandom on Batman Arkham, the subreddit, that is devoted only to Batman Arkham essentially, and memeing until the end of time. They don't just want Arkham. You know, they'll ask for Superman. They'll ask for these other characters. They'll ask for Justice League. But we don't get it. And you know why? Because WB doesn't have faith in those characters. For years, what they have done is built themselves into a corner. They've built up Batman in pretty much every interpretation and tried to make him really amazing in every interpretation. Even when he falls flat or even when he's not fleshed out enough, they're pretty careful with the iconography and writing of Batman to try and make him, at the very least, appealing enough to people that they're willing to put money into his products. You go to the store, there's always Batman comics and Batman family comics going. You know what? A lot of other characters don't get them. It's not the fans that only want Batman. But DC and WB have written themselves into a corner where that's the main character they build up. This is something I want to talk about even more in another video soon, about why people dislike Batman fans, why people hate on Batman fans, because they think they have tunnel vision. And some do, but this particular video is more about the games. You know, I'm just using it as an example. WB will push that one character. And so, of course, when they go to other characters, it's not going to do quite as well because they haven't built those characters up and made them household names as much as their bread and butter character. They are self-sabotaging themselves. And with the quality control around these games from the past, like I said, having been so negligible, where sometimes you'll get a diamond in the rough, like the Spider-Man 2 Raimi game, and other times you'll get a game that's just really not very good, in my opinion, like the Incredible Hulk game on PS3 and Xbox 360. It's okay, but it's not even as good as a Hulk game from the previous generation, right? You'll get games like that. You'll get games like Captain America, where it has a lot of good and a lot of bad in it, but a lot of performance problems. And so then these games aren't selling as well, right? These games aren't selling as well because they have so many issues. It's not that people only wanted a Batman game. People wanted a really good game, and people wanted a single-player game that maybe you can co-op. Genuinely. I have not seen anyone against the idea of being able to co-op. You know, play Spider-Man 2. Imagine that you could hop in as Miles Morales and go around with your friend and fight crime and do missions. That's cool. But imagine that you don't have to at all. There's like no need for an online component. Superhero games fans like that. They like choice, and they like the ability to play their games on their own time, experience this narrative the same way that they'd sit down and watch a movie or read a comic or read a book or whatever. They don't want to have to rely on outside forces to do that, and especially in the case of Suicide Squad, they don't want to have to rely on somebody fixing the game to do that. It's such a weird criticism to me that people only wanted Batman when there's so many pitches, so much heart and soul and passion behind all these other characters, and so many people just crying out like, hey, this is my favorite character over here. You've neglected him for 30 years of gaming. Love a game as him. That would be really, really cool. Oh, you're going to not do that. Okay, cool. We got Marvel's Avengers. I guess that's neat. I guess Hulk's in that. Or like, oh, well, I guess Captain America's in that. You know, wouldn't want to do anything with him. And I know that there's some stuff in development now going on, like the Captain America and Black Panther game, for example. I get that. But my point is that when these games come out and they have so many issues, it's very unfair to just point back to successful games and say, you guys are a bunch of dicks who just want that thing. You guys are narrow-minded and closed-minded, and that's all you want. When that's not true. That's something that I think people have displayed over and over again, is that that's not true. Now, you want to make more of that stuff? You want to do a Roger Craig Smith Arkham Origins sequel and write it really damn well and handle it with a lot of care and respect? People will be there. I think people would be there and they would buy it because Batman sells, Arkham sells, of course. But a lot of fans have been asking WB, asking these other companies, even, you know, with Marvel and Disney and stuff, asking them, hey, please build up your other characters. I would love a game as this guy. I'd love a game as this girl. I would love this thing. And their answer is, nah, that's not financially profitable enough. We don't want to take a chance that that might not sell when we know this thing will sell. Why would we bother making this thing that might sell when we can make this thing that we know sells? That's the fault of the company. That's the reason Suicide Squad was made too, because live service sells. Almost every time. It makes a ton of money. It's just that in this case, it didn't. So that's my point, is that it's about chasing trends. It's about essentially trying to make the surefire success. It's just every once in a while the surefire success still is not successful. It's not about the fact that Batman fans only want Batman games. Take your frustration up with the company. If you're mad that a game that you like failed, take your frustration up with the company. Now, I don't like certain things that some gamers or some fans do. Like, I don't like the idea of going and finding the person who did the face models in Suicide Squad and harassing them. I think that's douchey. I think it's, even ignoring morals, it's counterproductive because they're just going to double down and do the opposite of what you want anyway. They're in a position of power, you're not. They're at the company, you're not. But also, it's just morally bankrupt. It's really shitty. Like, you're just finding somebody and bothering them over and over again until they hurt themselves or do something bad. I don't want to see that. I don't like people doing that. Anybody who does do that, I think is an absolute moron, and I want nothing to do with them at all. I don't want them in my audience. I don't want them around me. They're dicks. But I still hate this fandom blaming thing of saying, nah, screw you. This isn't what you want. People don't show up when they don't like the end result. You know, even something like Star Wars. Maybe you love every movie, but a lot of people didn't. And a lot of times when people didn't love the movies, they didn't go back for return views. They didn't go to buy the movie on physical, and the movie did worse. It's just the way it is. So, I don't know. I'm interested to hear your thoughts down below. I know this was a rant. I know it was a ramble. But I do think that this is something that's worth talking about because it's just an unfair criticism. It's not true. If you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe for more content. I appreciate you very much. I appreciate my members very much. Thank you guys. I'm going to flash a little thank you here. This is me flashing you, technically. So I hope you enjoyed that. It's, you know, the most action I'm getting today. But also, I did want to say that we do have other ways to support our channel. Our Fortnite code, I know I mention it all the time. It really does help me out. My income is very inconsistent with my disability issues and stuff. It's kind of difficult. So that kind of stuff helps me out a lot, and just putting that in the Fortnite store or something like that when you buy something. I'm going to look into other options for things like that for creator code. So if you have any suggestions of things, let me know in the comments. It always is very helpful. We also do have a store, which is actually cosmobunny.shop. I was going to say it's Enchanted Glamour because that was the old name, but this is cosmobunny.shop, named after my little Cosmo, my little cat boy. We make comic book and manga resin pieces. We don't ruin comic books and manga. We get comic books and manga that are unsellable, that are really damaged from local stores. Maybe they were damaged in shipping. Maybe they were handled poorly over the years. And we turn them into really cool, repurposed, recycled resin pieces. We reuse these materials, and then we recycle all of the paper that we can't use directly. We make sure it doesn't go to landfills or anything like that. We are actually recycling it. So doing those things supports us a lot. We also have a discount code on that store, DJAY123. I appreciate you very, very much. I hope you have a fantastic day. And as always, everybody, stay shway.